Welcome back to Ask Rip. We're here outside today. We're out on the track, taking advantage of the nice spring weather here in North Texas. Happy that it's not 114. And rejoicing in the fact that we don't live in Buffalo, New York, where there's still snow on the ground. Okay? And as usual, we're taking your questions from the internet, good or not. All right, this is a train wreck here. First off, it must have been submitted anonymously because there's no name on it. It came from Instagram. Do things that come from Instagram have no names? It doesn't have a name.
That's the name, McDonut.
McDonut is the name?
Yes.
All right, this is the way I read this when I first looked at it. I'll show you my confusion. McDonut is a hot dog, a sandwich. I thought that McDonald's had some new product called a McDonut, and this guy wanted to know if it was a hot dog or a sandwich, which just, this is just me glancing at it, right? I don't go to McDonald's very often. When I do go to McDonald's, I'll get 4 or 5 of the double cheeseburgers and just keep the meat and throw away a stack of bread about like that. And, you get a protein thing there for not a lot of money. You don't eat the bread. So that's the extent of my exposure to McDonald's. And I thought maybe they had a McDonut. So what you're telling me is that McDonut asked the question, is a hot dog a sandwich?
He wants to know, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Well, yeah. Bread, meat.
Sandwich.
Try harder, McDonut. All right. Seanzy. Is this Seanzy, maybe?
Maybe.
S-E-A-N-Z-Y? Seanzy. Let's say it's Seanzy. Why is whole milk often marketed as vitamin D milk? You think there is a stigma against whole milk? Well, of course there's a stigma against whole milk. Have you been anywhere except a grocery store where they had milk on the menu? It's like the lobby at the hotel recently. I was just looking at this. The only milk they have there is 2% or skim. There's a lot of places where the only milk they have is 2% or skim. Yeah, of course. The American Dietetics Association is still convinced that saturated fat causes heart disease, and as a result, whole milk is poison. And really, there are a whole group of people, whole group of women raising their children on the equivalent of coffee mate, soy milk. Their children get soy milk instead of whole milk, instead of cow's milk, because they're of the opinion that the product is somehow poisonous. I don't know how it got to be that way, or more importantly, when it got to be that way. I suspect it got to be that way when the soy milk organization started marketing that shit as something other than coffee mate, because really, soy milk is coffee mate. And that's all there is to it. Don't drink that shit. It's often marketed as it's always pretty much marketed as vitamin D milk, because vitamin D is added to it, and it's been called vitamin D milk for the past 30 years, best I remember. Sometimes you see it marked as whole milk, but most frequently it's like if you go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or something like that, it'll be called whole milk. But it's vitamin D milk is a common designation. And that's probably, knowing how the dairy people are, that they have co-ops. The dairy farmers have co-ops, and they pool their milk and market as a group, and it has something to do with that. Maybe a dairy farmer will respond to this Ask Rip question and clear us up on this. And if he does, you'll be the first to know on the website. Okay, it goes right there. This paperweight goes up, and amazingly enough, this paperweight was holding down this question from our friend Frank Sanders. Frank was in Houston with us recently. Frank's a lot of fun. He's a old retired Navy SEAL from the Vietnam era, and it's got some stories. Frank, thanks for sticking with us. But my wife walked into the room and caught me watching porn on my laptop. Frank, you're 66 years old. That's the source of her consternation. Even though it was hetero porn, she was very upset and has been angry for a week. Any suggestions on how to handle this? Frank, how old is your wife? Have you still got that 30-year-old girl hanging around there? I don't know. Frank, if it upsets the girl, you're gonna have to wait till she goes to bed, I guess. But hey, I mean, I know how old you are, and I'm slapping at the little gnats here. That has nothing to do with Frank, okay? But Frank, hey man, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I think you're doing the Lord's work here. And if I were you, I mean, look, she shouldn't be upset. She ought to be happy. What the hell is wrong with her? She should be happy. I don't understand it. I've got a different attitude toward porn than everybody else does, I guess. I just think it's art. It's just an art form to me. You know? Gianna Michaels, you know Gianna Michaels? She's like the Mona Lisa, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't see a problem, Frank, and I just think maybe I think you get her back on her Xanax. Okay, time to move on, as Nick just pointed out. Oh, you're talking about Frank. Time to move on. You can't tell that to Frank. He loves the woman. I guess. All right. Timothy Gadde, G-A-D-D-E, asks. This is probably going to be the last one since we talked so long about porn. Rip has written that the more of the body involved in an exercise, the better the exercise. Seems reasonable. That's why I wrote it. Using this logic, wouldn't the dip and thruster be better exercise choices than the bench press and the press, respectively? No, Tim, they wouldn't. And here's the deal. All right. The dip is a body weight exercise first. It can be weighted. All right. The dip, and you're just going to have to trust me since I've been training for 40 years and you probably have not. The dip bothers lots of people's shoulders. The minute you develop any kind of shoulder pathology, for lots of people that get this done, dips become undoable. They tear things up. They're hard to determine in terms of range of motion because the tendency is to not lock them out at the top when they get heavy. If you can dip 200 pounds, chances are you can dip 200 pounds because you can bench 375, and not the other way around. The dip does involve more muscle mass. You're absolutely right. But one of the primary concerns with exercise selection is the movement trainable for a very long period of time? And in my opinion, I don't think the dip is, because A, injuries preclude its use, and B, the body weight factor, in addition to the load that you tie onto your hips, makes the thing less trainable, in that incremental increases are very difficult to monitor and manage. Okay, so that's dips. The thruster, and by thruster he's using the popular CrossFit term for the front squat to press. Front squat to press is a combination of two different exercises. It's a submaximal front squat and a submaximal press, by virtue of the fact that it's actually a push press, and the momentum for the upward part of the press comes from the momentum generated by the squat portion of the movement. Both of those aspects of that exercise are less than controllable in that you are doing a sub-maximal front squat because you know you've got to press it. And then it's not a press, it's a push press. We used our version of the press for very specific reasons that we've talked about before. And as a result, I mean, you can, second guess our choice on exercises all you want to, but I think that our arguments are pretty rock solid here. Stick him under the rock. And that's 3 on that one. Well, is it? Yeah, we only got 2 left.
Okay.
So we're going to stop, and we're going to see you next time. Bye.